John Roddy, and the subject is Funny Benoit. There's so many stories about how, especially in these WWE days, that Chris Benoit was a super intense bully in the locker room, but I was wondering, Conan and Disco, do either of you guys have any funny Chris Benoit stories from WCW? Something like parties or fun ribs? Also, Disco, it seems like every other day on YouTube you guys upload a video about Conan's heat with someone. How do you react to Conan getting into somebody backstage fuse in WCW and TNA? Okay, first of all, on the YouTube, okay, you're obviously not listening to the clips. Okay, because the headlines of the clips are clickbait when it says, like, Conan on AEW's poor booking of so-and-so. Okay, that's not Conan having heat. If you listen to the clip, it'll be a mailbag question of somebody talking about the poor booking, and Conan will comment on it.
But I guess when fans read heat, they're like, oh,
right.
Some sort of beef.
Let's listen to the clips, John Roddy. Benoit was actually funny to go out. He liked to go. There was a bar in... like, you wouldn't expect this from Chris Benoit, the Mr. Intense guy, right?
First of all, the guy referred to him as a bully. Chris was not a bully.
Not a bully, right.
Right.
So, and I don't know where the stories of him being a bully in the locker room come from. But that's,
right, because he was anything but.
Right. You won't hear any stories from anybody that was in the locker room about that, okay? So, but I will say this, if you would be remiss to find Chris Benoit at 8 Tracks, which was a 70s disco in Orlando, Florida. And Benoit used to love dancing to disco music.
Yeah.
And if you could just picture him with a beer and just on the dance floor, like his head bobbing, like disco.
And it was funny because disco music, for some reason, brought everybody together because everybody liked disco.
Right.
The rock and roll guys liked disco.
Yeah.
The hip hop guys liked disco. It just had such an infectious beat. Right. Remember, Malenko is a big disco fan.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question about that, about Benoit? Because, you read different things, and there's some guys on one side say, Chris was the quietest, the nicest. I never would have expected that thing to happen. And then there's guys on the other side that say, when I heard they were dead, I knew Chris did it. Where did you guys fall on that?
Number one.
You thought there was no way? Yep. Wow.
Bro, you had to know him.
Who would have thought that? Nobody had to.
Bro,
I think Regal said it. I think Regal said it, actually, that when he heard it, he knew Chris did it or something like that.
Yo, what up? This is Conan, and I host Keeping It 100, my co-host, Disco Inferno, unfortunately.
Well, I'd say you're my co-host.
Listen, every Thursday here on Spreaker, we talk pro wrestling, sports, movies, music, TV, pop culture, and some politics. It's everything the rest of the pro wrestling podcasts are not.
Tune in to hear myself, the superior one, educate and inform.
Tune in to hear me bury Disco.
That's very disrespectful.
Join us every Thursday on Spreaker and keep it 100. Boom!